Welcome to the show. You know where you are. Expert Talk with me, Tigo. And as always, I love bringing you experts from all walks of life, from all over the globe. But rarely do I get to bring someone who has literally interviewed people from all walks of life, who is an author, he's a speaker. He's been on stages that you and I maybe even dream of. And he's actually got a really cool event that I actually get to be a part of. Now, what is Tigo talking about now? Today, we have Reid on the show. So sit right there. We'll be right back.
Expert Talk is brought to you in part by PodNation TV, the podcast to broadcast network.
Expert Talk is produced and distributed by Melrose 11 LLC. Lights, cameras, take action with Melrose 11.
Greg, welcome to the show.
And here we are. I've been looking forward to going face to face, knees to knees with you. It's lives.
I'm loving it. But before we get into this, man, we got to talk about that shirt you're wearing. One, how can I buy one? What's it all about? Tell me.
Yeah, I got it at a very fancy store. It rhymes with Ross, but it's Ross. It's just kind of cool for the summer look, right?
It is awesome. You need to do one of those for Secret Knock, man. We all need to have like all these secret explosions all over our shirts.
I love it. Little ahas and inspirations.
Yeah.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, we need to do that. Okay. For people out there that may not, and I don't know how you don't know who Reid is, but just in case, I mean, the man's only been in over 100 books. But for the people out there that may not know who you are, let's go back a little bit. Where are you originally from?
Well, first of all, hi, everybody. My name's Greg. I'm an author, speaker, filmmaker right here in San Diego, California, my hometown of Carlsbad. And like she said, I've been published in 118 books, 45 languages. Even they gave me a little star on the Walk of Fame, if you can believe it or not, for doing it. And recently been making movies and some TV shows that I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. And I definitely want to talk about your movies because you got one that you just finished not too long ago. I mean, Wake Up and Crush It. So we got to talk about that. But like I said, let's go back. Where are you from originally?
This is it. Like I said, I was born and raised here in the beach of San Diego, California. I don't have those rags to riches stories. I grew up a yuppie kid. I grew up on the beach. Parents were successful, happy, positive. Always had abundance of everything we ever wanted. I did not grow up lacking. And I believe in today's society, many people are just like me that have grew up in a positive way. And so now I'm the beacon of person going around telling everyone, hey, you don't have to have these stories where you're down and out and, you hit the rock bottom before you start bouncing up to create your, claim to fame and inspire lives along the way.
I totally agree. I came from a happy household myself. My parents were sharecroppers and worked their way through and thought I was crazy half the time because I've had this entrepreneur mind. I started my first business when I was 10 and they thought, what is wrong with you? But this is what we do.
I had one of those too. I was, I think, 14 and I wanted to buy a bicycle and I didn't have the money. And so instead of saying I can't afford it, I said, how can I afford it? And I went to the lawnmower and I went door to door and I got the neighbors to, pay me $10 to mow the lawns. And then I hired the other kids in the neighborhood for $5 to mow the lawn for me. And that's how it all started.
And see, you and I think we're brothers from another mother and father because my business, I eventually grew it into being, my dad called me the foreman because I would get side jobs in the neighborhood and then hire the kids in the neighborhood to do the job. So we were doing the same thing. I was in Chicago. You were in my dream city of San Diego.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I know. It was rough growing up here. I mean, one time, surf class couldn't take place because we had low tide. I mean, it was it was the tough 1974, I believe it was. No.
Oh my God, this man said that surfing couldn't happen because they had low tide. Now that's a first. I've done over 150 episodes of Expert Talk. I can honestly say that's the first time I heard of that. But let's talk about the fact that you've been in over 100 books.
Yeah.
What made you decide to take that journey? Because you could have gone in any direction.
Oh, because I'm the least qualified guy to do what I do. I mean, I'm dyslexic. I can't spell very good. I can't read, can't write. Look, play me words with friends, you'll win every single time. But I understood the power of you work your strengths and you hire your weaknesses. So found amazing ghostwriters and editors that could take my gift of gab and then craft them in a way people want to read it. In fact, you want to see something very few people have ever seen?
Yes.
Okay, hold
Yes.
on one second. I'll be right back. You can hear my voice. 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 Listen to this. When you write a book, you do a query letter. It says who you are, what's your message, why are you an expert, who's going to read your book. I was turned down by 268 publishers in a row. These are all
Oh my goodness.
these are all my rejection letters of every person telling me why I'll never be an author. And here we are now, 118 books later, 45 languages, millions of stories shared worldwide. Go figure.
You did a book 3 feet away from gold. If this isn't a great segue to that, because so many people quit when they're inches, not feet, but inches away from success.
I'm seeing
So-
about 3 feet from gold behind me. Yeah, right here. 3 feet.
There you
from
go.
gold. There's a story about the miner, R.U. Darby, who gave up 3 feet away from a strike of gold. And the message is how many people quit one class short from a degree or sales or marketing. It's easy to quit, but it's the people that persevere and go that extra mile. They're the ones we tell the stories about. First, there's a dream, then there's a challenge, and then there's victory. Never give up in the challenging times.
Now, when you say that, and you just showed me over 200 rejection letters, the average Joe would have gotten one, maybe two, and said, writing's not for me. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm out. How did you keep going and say, I just need to find the right publisher?
Yeah, well, it's something called the knowing. See, I didn't hope, wish, believe. I just knew I was onto something. I just didn't know how. So I didn't take it personally. It's like the 5 agreements or whatever. Or 4 agreements. So I just knew for myself, I was onto something. I just had to find the system. And, it was interesting. One quote from the first book called The Millionaire Mentor was shared 37 million times last year. And you've seen it on bumper stickers, coffee mugs. You just didn't know it was my quote, but when you Google it, you'll find it. And it's all about goal setting. It says a dream written down with a date becomes a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. That comes from that book that was turned down 268 times.
Ooh.
And how many millions and millions of people would not have been inspired by that? Just one quote from that book alone, if I would have let someone else tell me what I could or could not do.
So what took you from being an author, because I'm dyslexic as well, so you are definitely a mentor for me, being an author and saying, okay, I've got this, I'm doing it, I've got my first book out, here comes my next, I'm going to be a co-author in something else. You could have just stayed in that niche and never went anywhere else. What made you decide to start speaking from stages?
Well, it was interesting. I actually started from stages, and that's how I became an author. I was speaking at a local university after I sold my business for a really nice little chunk. And some kid came up and said, you should write a book. And I go, I've never really read a book. I go, that's a great goal. So I had a bucket list item. I added it to it. And like I said, it was a journey and a goal that I would not, let another person dictate, my outcome. And I just knew that there was a solution. I just had to find it. It's kind of like when I went to Africa and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I found the Sherpa that I climbed it 900 times. Wherever they put a boot print, I put a boot print. I just followed successful actions of others. And we can have anything and everything as long as we surround ourselves with people who are already doing what we want to do.
Wait a minute, go back. I heard him. We're going to make him go back and talk about that. You climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Well, like I said, I had that bucket list. I ran with bulls in Spain. I've swam with sharks. I carried the torch for the Olympics. Yeah, you name it. I've made major motion pictures. Whatever you can think of as a kid, I wrote down on a list, and I had to cross every single one off before I passed away. And unfortunately, I know it sounds strange, unfortunately, I crossed the last one off 2 years ago. And it was a surreal moment when they gave me an honorary PhD and then another one where I became a doctor. And so I just realized I could start a new bucket list, but I did something special. I sat my
Okay.
son down, who's 9 years old, and said, let's start your list. And I'm going to tell you right now, I got more enjoyment helping him cross those off his bucket list than I ever got of mine.
So, one, what scares you? Anything?
Everything scares me. I just do it anyway.
Now, there's so many people out there that are afraid to even go out their front door, especially now. I mean, people could be watching this in 2034 and not even know what COVID is. But right now, we're coming out the backside, hopefully, of this COVID thing. And people are scared to go out their front door, but you are taking on the world literally. And you're telling me that everything scares you, but you do it anyway. How do you do it?
Well, Steve Wozniak, the guy who created Apple with Jobs, he sat me down one time and says, here's the secret. He goes, most people run from their lack or their fears. He goes, we ran towards ours. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, when these little microchip processor thingies came out, they were very expensive. We could only afford one. Jobs sold his car. I sold my calculator. We pooled our money to buy one. He goes, but Hewlett Packard and IBM would make machines that go from A to B with 20 chips. They had all the money of God. He said, I'd pull away 5 and go from A to B with 15. I'd pull away 5, get it to work with 10. Eventually went from A to B using our one chip. He goes, we weren't trying to be innovative, but by finding the shortest, cleanest path, we changed the way people do personal computing for the rest of their life. He goes, where could you be right now in your own life, your own business, if you stop looking at something as your challenge, but it might just be your greatest blessing, greatest opportunity in disguise.
Do you believe that people stop themselves? I mean, there's naysayers everywhere. You can't do that. That's not for you. We don't do this in the family. We're, construction workers. We're first responders. This is what we do. And they talk themselves out of it. Do you believe that people stop themselves?
No, I don't. I think they listen to other people's outside thing, and that's what stops them, because they get the idea, they get the inspiration, they get the aha moment, and then they let a family around the barbecue who's never done what they want to do talk them out of it. Successful people seek counsel, and failures listen to opinions based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, or inexperience. Counsel's based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. If you're family friends and I say I'm going to write a best-selling book, they're going to try to protect me and talk me out of it because I'm dyslexic and they've never written a book. I go to Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup. He's going to say, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. If we would spend our activity only seeking counsel and ignoring opinion, that's the day our lives would change.
Wow. Now, there are people out there, I'm sure, watching, and they're going, well, of course Greg can say that. He already said, he started the show with, he came from a great family. He had a great life when he grew up. So he doesn't know what it's like to be rough. He doesn't know what it's like to not know how he's going to eat tomorrow. So he can do whatever he wants. But me, my family's never done anything other than labor work. I can never be like this guy. What would you tell him?
Well, if you go back and look at the most successful people on this planet Earth, all came from the most, low means of society. And we are not a product of, our environment. We're a product of our family dynamic. So that's what it comes down to. If we're loved, nurtured, encouraged, then chances are that gives us the wherewithal to go where we want to go. Almost every multi-millionaire, billionaire on the planet Earth today didn't come from a rich, successful lifestyle. Now, look, my family wasn't, well, I guess they're pretty wealthy now if you looked at it. But at the time, I didn't really look at that. All I did was find solutions. I saw what they were doing and I added my own spin to it. And I think that's the key today. So I've got a 9-year-old son. It's very interesting. Just last week, I asked him to clean his room and to do a bunch, make his bed and stuff like that, because we had people coming over. And it was very interesting. Another kid came walking out of his bedroom and went to his dad, who was here playing chess. He goes, hey, what do I do with this money? And he goes, can you hold on to it? I go, where'd you get that money from? He goes, oh, Colt, my son, gave me money. And I go, what did he give you money for? He goes, oh, he hired me to make his bed, clean his room and everything. And I pulled my son and I go, what are you doing? And he said, he goes, work your strengths, hide your weaknesses, man. And I'm like, what are you going to say? And I'm going to give you a paradigm shift. This is interesting. My son's completely life changed. And by the way, here's a CD he made when he was 9. He had the #1 album on Amazon. And
Wait. Your 9-year-old son had the #1 album on Amazon.
When he was a kid at 7, yeah. And so,
oh my goodness.
yeah. So it's interesting. He's got a Spotify channel. You should go check this thing out. It's called Confidence is a Secret, right? And what he did is he took his words of wisdom, and then my hip hop buddy added music track underneath. Anyway, that's not the conversation. So here's the greatest aha.
Okay.
I was doing a podcast, and a woman asked me this question, and this is what changed my paradigm with my son. And she said, "Do you pay your son to do things he doesn't like to do, like, make the bed, pull the weeds, chores?" I go, "Absolutely. He's got to learn from the earliest thing." And she goes, "That's a shame." I go, "What?" He goes, "You're ruining your son forever." And I went, wow. I go, "Why is that?" And this is, I'm telling you, what I'm about to say, it's going to make your head hurt.
Okay.
Goes, training your son from the earliest of memory, the only way to make money is to do something he hates.
Ooh.
And so I sat my son down and I said, "Colt, what are you good at?" He goes, "Man, I make these cool Instagram memes and TikToks." I go, "That's your new job. From now on, your allowances, you're going to make me all my cool Instagram memes and my stuff that goes on my Twitter. And in exchange, that's where you make your money." I go, "But the things about doing the chores and things, we'll just call that contribution because you live in a mansion, you got a good lifestyle." I go, "We'll do it that way." And changed everything. And so now the way he makes money is to do what he excels at.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, you just changed my life because I have 3 grandsons, 14, he'll be 15 next week, 14, almost 2 and 6. And yeah, we're going to go about this in a whole new way just because of what you just said right there. That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. That kind of opens a door for me though, because youth mentorship has been very important to you, correct?
Yeah, well, that was the first book I did called The Millionaire Mentor. People think I mentor millionaires, but I work with inner city kids. And when I'd show up in a brand new fancy car, they'd call me their millionaire mentor. I got a letter of commendation from the President of the United States, and it changed my life and my community.
You say this stuff like everybody else talks about. We ate carrots yesterday. This is really amazing things that you do. And you got your own little rope stance behind you. It's blowing my mind. It's like you got your own red carpet in your own office. That is the coolest thing ever. If you were not an author, a speaker, a filmmaker, what would Greg Reid be doing?
Here's the funniest thing is I created the exact life I wanted. So this is what I would be doing, because I sat down at an early age and said, what would my ideal life look like? And it was, I would never set an alarm. It would be, I'd work my strengths and hire my weaknesses. It would be this. It'd be finding a way to get paid money to do what I'm already going to do. Hold on to that one for a second. It was finding the things that I truly excelled at, and then find a way to inspire others and bring them along the journey.
See, you got me just kind of sitting here. I'm off my notes. It's just like, this is amazing. It's a mastermind class for me. He's validating thoughts that I have and giving me whole new paradigms, to focus on. That's an amazing thing. Wow. Okay. You just finished a series. I saw it on IMDb. I said, okay, I've got to ask him about that. Wake Up and Crush It?
Yeah, it's a new TV show, a reality show that we filmed. We just did the pilot so people could actually touch it and feel it, so I could shop it to the different networks. So that's where it's at right now. In fact, I've got the founder of the E! Entertainment Network coming in for my mastermind group next month. And I'm going to ask this person, sit him down again, seek counsel, and see how this game works so I can get out there. And then also next week, I'm filming a new movie up in Hollywood that I'm excited about as well.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to him about Beyond the Knock, because it's about a really cool thing called Secret Knock. So sit right there. We'll be right back.
Expert Talk is brought to you in part by PodNation TV, the podcast to broadcast network.
Okay, Okay, Greg, we got to talk about a very important event that you're doing every year. I believe this is your 14th year coming up of doing a thing called Secret Knock.
Yeah, we've been doing Secret Knock for quite a while now, and it all started, as a little side hustle joke type thing where people kept saying, "How do I meet your friends?" So in my living room, I invited 12 people to hang out with some of my influential, associates, and they said, "Do you need a ticket?" And I go, "No, just go door to door and do the secret knock. When I hear it, I'll let you in," as a joke. And it went on, and people told people, and now we're Forbes magazine, Inc., top rated event in the world for entrepreneurs. And the idea is surround yourself with people, again, that are getting the results that you want for yourself. For example, instead of someone talking about starting a clothing brand, imagine having tacos with a gentleman who started UGG boots, a multi-billion-dollar brand. Or if you have an idea for an invention, here's a guy who did that little magnetic strip on the back of a credit card. What would life be like if you hung out with the people who actually accomplished what everyone else is just dreaming about?
Yeah, it changes your complete life, and it opens your dreams to realities is what it is. And when I heard about it and heard we had an opportunity to be a part of it, that I got to actually come on stage with you, I said, I'm in, underline, I'm in. I went and looked at the website, and we've got it going by. And if you guys want tickets, I'm going to tell you, go look at the website. And literally, you got to fill out an application, and it will not tell you who's appearing, because it's a secret. That's how cool this is. I went out there, read this, and said, I've been in media, I've been in web development for 30 years, and I've never seen a website that said, want to know who's coming? We're not going to tell you. That cracked me up.
Yeah. Our whole catchphrase is, we're the greatest event you cannot attend. So that's it. And so it's only the cool kids. Look, you can go to one of these stadium events and there's 30,000 people, and we get it. But out of that, there's 300 really amazing humans. Our event are those 300 people. And so what happens, we're very specific of who we invite, who we bring into our sphere. But what's not, name tags aren't allowed, nothing. Everyone's just got to be cool. Our whole concept is be cool. And what that means is, look, if water runs out on your table, get up and get water and bring it back for everyone else. Be normal. If trash is on the floor, throw it away. You're not your mom's house. Just be normal. And imagine 300 of us, you and I, type of people hanging out together, and we pull out our phones and someone says, "Hey, I'm looking for this." And we go, "Here you go. And here's the contact," and it's done. I mean, that's what the world needs right now. And that's what we're bringing.
Yeah, that's definitely what the world needs right now. So, and they're sitting there going, how do they get to be a part of it? How do they actually get on that stage? Is there a process, or do you have to know somebody who knows somebody, because it's such a secret?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm done. That's it. That's all the information you're going to get. So
I love it. Okay, so can I ask you what's beyond the knock?
There's always something peeking behind. Like right now, we're working on Secret Knock Women coming up in at the end of October. We're looking at doing some more mastermind groups, but they're very exclusive ones. I call it Prosperity Camp, where I bring in people worth $100 million to $1 billion, and you get to actually hang out with some folks that are doing amazing, crazy stuff and learn from them. And you're going to realize how simple it is. For example, one billionaire guy that comes in, his name is Brian. I go, "How did you make $1 billion in dirt?" And he said, "Time plus land is wealth." I go, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, all I do is I look for a town that's growing about 25% a year. Go on Google Maps, it's free." He goes, "I look for Broadway, Main Street, and I draw a line out about 8 miles and I buy the dirt. I rent that dirt to farmers. They pay the lease and it's free to me, and I get vegetables for years. And as the town continues to grow at 25%, it ends up on my plot. But since I'm on Broadway, Main Street, and I own the biggest amount of land, that's what I resell to the big box stores for 800 times what I paid. $1 billion.
Oh my goodness. It sounds so simple, but who thinks of that? That's amazing. When you think about even Hollywood history, when Hollywood was built, it was in farmland. There was nothing out there. And now everything's kind of grown to it. I'm in Vegas. When I first moved here 27 years ago, the pig farm was like the end of earth here. And now Vegas is like 10 miles past the pig farm. So I can totally relate to that. I saw a quote that said, personal responsibility. What does personal responsibility to greatness mean to you?
Well, there's a thing in a book called Wealth Made Easy I did where I interviewed all these wealthy people. And there's an acronym by a buddy of mine, Mark Anthony Bates, and it said CPC. It means clues, patterns, choices. It's about accountability and responsibility for every single thing that happens. We got to stop blaming other people. So, for example, you see someone with a bad reputation in business, they cheat your best friend, you do business and things go wrong and you're mad at the person. You saw the
Mhm.
clue, you saw the pattern, you made the choice. It'd be like seeing a rattlesnake rattle, bite your kid's sister, you go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. Looking back in life, rarely will we be angry at relationships that failed or negotiations that fell through. We're just mad that we stayed in too long because we saw the clues, we saw the patterns, but we made our choices late.
What would you say to someone that's sitting there going, I know I have the talent. I know that I could stand on stages, I could make films, I could be an author, but I don't know anybody. I'm in Iowa, I'm in Chicago, I'm in Boston. I'm nowhere near the main street of where all this happens. How do I even get started?
Well, first of all, I live in San Diego. I'm not near it either. And people, like you said earlier, was, oh, it's easy for you. Great. Look, everyone watching me right now, you've never heard of me a day in your life. And when I call people up, they've never heard of me either. The only difference is I call them. And the most successful people are the most available people. And that's the biggest takeaway. The most successful people are the most available people. If you're brand new, you're happy go lucky, you're fresh or cool. Top of your field, happy go lucky, got nothing to prove. In the middle, you're a pain in the neck. You're filled with ego, you're edging God out. Jump to the front of the line. It's easier to get to the founder of Remax Real Estate Corporation, a trillion-dollar enterprise, than your local Remax president down the street. So what I realized for myself is I'm just going to jump to the front of the line and go right to the source.
That's amazing. What's next for you? You're already doing, like you said, you're living your dream life. What's next? What are you going to do next?
I don't, I don't know. I guess it's more of these new things. Like I said, I've never done TV before, so I'm doing a new TV show. I had a successful movie with Wishman on Netflix, and now I'm working on another project, writing more books, doing more events. This is the life. Someone asked me the other day, they go, when are you going to retire? And I go, imagine having a job where you show up and everyone applauds when you walk in a room, and then they give you a standing ovation and pay you a bunch of money and tell you how great you are. I go, where am I going to find a replacement for this gig, right? So I think the life is pretty darn good. And more importantly, I think the takeaways that we can leave and the nuggets for people where they have those aha inspirations later on, that's what I thrive for the most. That's what inspires me. When I meet someone and said, hey, I read something in your book 5 years ago, it changed my life, or that one thing you said that one time. And when we got in the industry, and you can attest to this, we said, if we could impact one person's life, then we did our job. Well, once you've impacted the lives of millions and millions of people, I think we think, how can we do it exponentially, even faster and more? Because again, sometimes all we need is one person to believe in us, to tell us what we can do. And eventually we can do just that.
So are we going to see you and your son sharing a stage soon?
Yeah, at Secret Knock. He comes to all of them. It's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a hip hop artist coming. They did a song that's on YouTube right now that's doing pretty good. But what's interesting is he does a mantra. So before he goes to bed, he goes, my name's Colt. I'm happy. I'm powerful. I'm brave. I'm wise. I'm worthy. I'm successful. I help people. My name's Colt. So a buddy of mine took it and added all these tracks to it. And that's one of the first, things that took off on Amazon that was became a #1 bestseller.
I want to thank you, sir. I'm totally looking forward to standing on that stage with you in September. I can't tell you how grateful I am, how excited I am. This is going to be so much fun. And you're stuck with me now because I'm here this year. I know where you are. I'm coming next year. I'm coming the year after. I already know it. This is an environment that I will thrive in because it's creative minds and nothing's stopping us. And I thank you so much for creating it. I thank you so much for just being you.
Well, thank you for having me in your family. And I look forward to synergizing as we move forward. I'll see you later.
Awesome. Hey, everybody, this is what I love to do. Bring creative people, bring people that know where they're going and how to show a few people of the light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe they can blaze their own trails too. I thank you for watching. I hope you'll be here next week. And as always, I'm Tigo, and I'll talk to you next time.